Hello and welcome back to the fourth edition of the West Ham Fan TV podcast. The other three have gone down really well. So we've done a whole month now, a whole month of podcasts.
It's been great.
Yeah, it's been good, isn't it?
It's been really good.
Yeah,
I've really enjoyed spending this extra time with you, Nicholas.
Well, I've named it Hammer It Out. Do you think that's a good name?
Hammer it out.
Hammer It Out.
Oh, hammer it out. I thought you meant get the hammerettes out.
No, do you know, like Hammer It Out,
Yeah,
like
Hammer It Out.
Hammer It Out
Hammer It
podcast.
Out.
Yeah. West Ham Fan TV Hammer It Out podcast. That's what I've named it. But what do you reckon? We can come up with a better name, or is that a good name?
Yeah, no, it sounds all right. It's something different, isn't it?
Yeah,
because I think originally we was going to go with like the Hangover podcast, but I think we've got to get away from the drink.
From the drink.
As I hold a bit. No, but you know what I mean? Like, so yeah, the Hammer It Out podcast, it sounds all right.
Yeah, I like the Hangover. That might be a different podcast.
What about iron it out? Like, oh, my shirts in the morning. No.
What's that got to do with West Ham?
Irons?
Yeah.
Iron it out.
What's it got to do with West Ham?
Iron it out. No, I like Hammer It Out better.
Hammer it out, iron it out.
Hammer
it
it,
out.
iron out.
Or get out.
Anyway, coming up on this edition of the West Ham Fan TV podcast, we'll be chatting about life in general. We've got a few stories, I'm sure, from the weekend. I have, definitely. I know you have. We'll be talking about the Newcastle game, and in the middle of this, there will be an exclusive interview with Alan Rzepa, who I've had a few problems with on social media recently. So
Who hasn't?
Well, exactly. But yeah, we spoke about quite candidly about the problems that we had on social media recently. So yeah, look forward to that. But should we start with the football this week? We normally start with a bit of general life, but I suppose we better start with the football because there's I think there's a problem rumbling at West Ham at the moment. I think there's a problem because that draw and that performance at Newcastle. I know you weren't there, 10%, but I know you weren't there, but we was all there and it weren't very good.
Still watched it.
Yeah, I know. Weren't very good, was it?
Nah, it wasn't a great performance. I mean, I watched it back the next day and it looked even worse. Yeah, you're right. There is something missing at the moment, but I think... Look, but there's a lot of people saying that we've been punching above our weight for a long time. We probably have. But I'm still one of these fans, you know what I'm like. I want to take the positives. And as much as it's not great at the moment, I still look at that league table and think we're fifth. Okay, we might slide down when if other results go away with the games in hand. But we've got a massive game to look forward to next month in Europe, in the last 16. And we're all going to be sitting there Friday, seeing who we get.
Yeah.
We've still got the FA Cup to come next week. So there's still a lot more to play for this season. We'll get results go for us and we'll get results go against us. It's football. But there's a lot of players out there, mate, that they look tired. I mean, I see a stat yesterday that Thomas Souček since January 2020 has played 110 games in all competitions.
Yeah.
It's a lot of football. So now you can sort of look at him and think, now I know why the poor gets running around like that.
But we knew that was going to happen. That's the problem, isn't it? You could see that coming. I'll be honest with you, I'm surprised it's taken so long to get to these sort of subpar performances, especially with the Europa League and everything else. We played a lot of football in a short space of time. We always knew this was going to be a strain on the squad, a stress on the squad. They haven't recruited great. They haven't recruited really well. They've not bought anyone in, even in the summer, that's proven, I would say. Vlasic came in for big money, but who else?
Bloody Zuma, wasn't it?
Zuma, yeah, I forgot about Zuma. Yeah, of course.
And Areola, but he's not really played.
No, but in terms of, I think where we needed to strengthen, where we was going to see the problems through the season, which is in the attack, I don't think we recruited good enough. But I haven't been moaning really because we've been doing so well, and I just think it's catching up. To be honest with you, I feel so sorry for some of the players that especially Mikel Antonio, that's getting a lot of criticism now because so much has been put on his shoulders, and it's not their fault. They've been, I know recent performances have dipped, but that was always going to happen. A dip in form, a dip in the performance level. You can't keep on going with that amount of players for that long, for that that high intensity, because that's what we play with is high intensity. And I feel so sorry for them because I don't think it's their fault.
I mean, we're sitting here now doing this podcast and we do Friday Night Pint and other shows and we're talking about West Ham challenging for the top four.
Yeah.
So there's got to be...
Do you think we have to reel it in a little bit?
Of course we do. I mean, look, some of our fans, you know, I look at them on Twitter after the defeat, and it's embarrassing because, you know, let's be realistic. You know, you can't sing about David Moyes and the players when it's all going well, and as soon as we get a couple of bad results, start blaming everything else. Like Andy said, people are blaming the stadium again. It ain't the fucking because the seats are white. That's not why we're losing. Because the carpet's claret. That's not why we're losing. You know, you can't sit there and enjoy the good times, but then give them stick during the bad times. Yes, we can criticise a performance, but this goes on for 2, 3, 4 days after. I'm seeing Moyes out. I'm seeing someone that said he was the only person that backed David Moyes saying, oh, Moyes has got to go now. Moyes has got to go. Why? What? Because we've just thrown it home to Newcastle. Get realistic. You know, what do these people think? You know, look, we'd all love to win every game, but let's look, we're West Ham. We haven't.
Is it though? Because we've still got some players there that have sat on the sidelines. Vlasic, for instance, right? If there's ever a time when we need someone to come good at some point, right? And we've seen this with Lanzini this season, right? Lanzini, I'd do that every fucking week. But Lanzini this season, how many years now have we been saying it's finished? You know, you're never going to get the Lanzini back. You're never going to get the same player. He's done. He should be going in this transfer. And all of a sudden, fast forward sort of 7, 8 games from, you know, when we were saying that, all of a sudden he's an important player again, and he's come back into form, and he has got back to the Lanzini we know. He's playing really well. We missed him hugely on Saturday. So could someone like Vlasic or someone like that, or maybe God forbid, Andre Yarmolenko, you know, turn into the hero.
Well, the trouble is with that is Moyes. It's Moyes and his subs. I think Moyes makes he's made too many wrong substitutions late, and then to enable Vlasic being given a chance. Don't know why he took Benrahma off. And you know, I'm with you on Benrahma. He's too hit and miss, but I would have kept him on that pitch. You know, the trouble is he won't take Antonio off, and it's got to be one of Benrahma or Vlasic when Lanzini's out. I think Bowen should go up top, and then that enables someone like Vlasic to take his spot instead. Is Moyes prepared to do that though? I don't think he is.
But
no, $2 million plus Yarmolenko and a packet of peanuts.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm gonna sort of cut Yarmolenko a little bit of slack with what's going on in his country. You know, it's got to be affecting him. You know, he's got family out there and friends, and it's a difficult time for him at the moment. So it must be hard for him, Yarmolenko.
Course, man. Look, at the end of the day, you know, with what's going on over in Russia, I mean, it's a bit of a worry for the world, not just for the Ukraine. It could, you know, I think there's been talks of World War III and things like that, which, you know, with that sort of that's the sort of conflicts that can, you know, spark them. So, you know, it's a worrying time, but you know, anything in life comes over football, man. Don't worry about
Boris Johnson comes in, Brexit, thinks he puts his feet up for the next couple of years, has COVID, puts his feet up, and now he's got World War III. Fucking, I bet he's thinking, well, I'll take this job. I should never have taken this job.
You sound like Mourinho, not Boris Johnson.
Mourinho?
What's that job? I've never taken this job.
I didn't say that.
You never said that at all. Fix your ear holes.
Sort your ear holes.
Your impression's like Mourinho.
It wasn't. Oh. It wasn't at all.
What did you say?
I would never take this job.
Oh, yeah, but that's a Boris impression. You sound like Mourinho.
Mourinho is I prefer not to speak.
Yeah, well, you don't sound like Boris Johnson. You sound more like Mourinho than Boris Johnson.
You do your Boris fucking Johnson impression then.
You must stay at home.
You sound like Theresa May. You must stay at home. You must stay at home. And,
you must only leave your house for essential purposes.
Yeah.
I was on a stag do, mate.
Oh, goodness
I was on a
me.
stag do. I'll tell you what, there was a storm back home, mate. We created a storm in Benidorm.
Yeah, literally a storm here.
How'd you get on with the storm before I go into the antics?
I lost the fence. Well, 5 fence panels. Which is getting done tomorrow. I'm having the old fence done and the back gate.
One of my little, you know, the little plastic shed things, like the storage things, it's completely destroyed. It's completely ripped it off the hinges. Yeah, I have to. I'm going to go out there and try and fix it, but I think it's done for, to be honest. No, I don't really like them budget airlines, man. They just.
I hate flying, Nick.
Yeah, I do.
I hate it. I'm not saying I'm scared of planes. I just hate
Ain't getting no plane.
Oh, I love flying. I
Ain't
love
getting
it.
no plane.
I love the long haul flights when you just sit back, watch
Yeah.
a film. Yeah, you get your dinner brought to you.
I've never been on a long haul flight.
Oh, I love it.
I
I can't stand it.
it's like, you know, like. So what happened was I forgot. I didn't forget.
Did you forget or didn't you
There's
forget?
fucking Morse code going on over here. I thought I was going to go to war.
What's that in Professor Quirrell? I forgot to check in. No,
You forgot your chicken.
Shut up. I didn't check in till the night before I flew out, and just my luck, Dom Travel Curse #, the cabin space on the plane had sold out.
So what'd you go with? Your moustache and your pants? What did you?
I had to pay 65 fucking quid to stick it in the plane hole there and back. 32 one way, 32 quid.
I bet that was more than the trip to Benidorm.
Wait. What do you mean? The cabin?
You know, the luggage that goes in the cabin, so you can take a bag on the flight
Yeah.
and stick it in the cabin
yeah.
up there. They had no more room.
Oh, bullshit. What, for your bag?
I took a suitcase.
Yeah, but what, they did have no room underneath?
What are you shoving a suitcase in the fucking cabin hole for?
Because I couldn't take it on the fucking plane.
I bet he was like, you know, Ben Stiller in Meet the Fockers when he's trying to fucking squash his bag.
Yeah, you're going to have to check it. Yeah, you're going to have to check it.
Nah, man, I was pissed, right? So that was 65 quid.
So what they charge you to take a carry-on?
They charge you £23 usually.
What, to take a carry-on?
Yeah.
Yeah, most low budget, that's how they make their money, things like that.
But
What do they think people are going to go aboard with, though,
It's-
Roy?
it's
You've
a
got to have something, in you?
It's a £1 to get on the flight, but 700 quid to put your bag.
Yeah.
I could have fucking. It was awesome, man. Really much needed weekend away. Woke up yesterday morning, first time I've woken up sober. It's taken me about a couple of days to recover. Come back Monday morning, early hours, and here I am back to reality set with you two.
So what
It's
happened?
fucking nice, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I know it's fucking liberty, isn't it? But so what happened? I want to know a story. There's got to be some funny stories. A stag do never goes past.
I think before he does that, he should show us his arse and see if he's had any more tattoos.
No. I'll tell you who's. I've got no tattoos, but I'll tell you whose arse you will want to see. The stags, because he got.
I don't think I would.
Mate, I'll show you a picture when we're done.
I don't think I want to.
He got spanked with a belt hard. There were nasty marks on his arse. Brutal.
The nasty bastard.
Nasty. Nick.
So why do I want to look at that? I don't know this geezer. He's showing me some random geezer's arse who's been strapped with a fucking belt. Why do I want to look at that?
It's funny.
Oh God. So tell me a story. Come on, you need to tell me a story. You just told me you've been on a stag do.
So I got the 7:05 flight from Gatwick to Alicante.
Right.
I got on the plane. I sat down on the plane. I put my earphones in and I listened to some music and took off. I landed. I got changed.
Why? This is his stag do story so far. He's told me he couldn't check his fucking bag in, and then he's told me his flight times. Come on, sort this out, man. I want to hear an interesting story. I'll chuck you off and get Andy in, and I bet he'll have an interesting story.
Right. Okay. So we had obviously the best man obviously planned a lot of it. Right. So first night we've put Paul in a runaway bride dress, so he dressed up as a bride.
Right.
And what did we do? First night it was like basic bar crawl every night. We got some
Peanuts.
No, hour long free bar, right? So we went into this bar and it was called Miller's. And you know, and in between us, when they walk into that bar and it's like the shittest bar in the place and no one's there, it was literally like that. We walked in.
Did you do the old thing?
No, I couldn't because no one else was there. Who am I going to show off my moves to? Like the chair sat there empty. So there was no one in there.
The only thing you pulled was a chair at the weekend.
It was. This bar was disgusting. Have you ever been to the Pink Toothbrush?
I've heard of it, but I've never been.
I've never been there, but I've heard stories.
Have you heard of how sticky the floor is?
Yeah. We used to have one where we grew up.
Palms Hotel.
Palms Hotel was one. But remember the one in Ilford? What?
Johnny Jack's?
No.
Shannon's.
Shannon's.
That was Seven Kings, wasn't it?
I couldn't. Yeah, Seven Kings. Yeah, I couldn't get my shoes off the floor at times, man.
Oh,
My shoes have come off in there.
Palms Hotel. I used to say I was at the bar. Say, Nick, you're right. I'm going to go to the toilet. I'd walk across. Both my shoes are gone. My socks are gone. They stick to the floor.
It's like, you know that bit in Home Alone when he's walking up the stairs with the tar.
With the tar, yeah.
That's what it was like in there.
She starts performing, and she did things I can't really say on this podcast.
No, you can, of course you can.
Well, you know, kids could be listening and all that.
They could be,
but it's all right. They've got to learn.
Basically, she just did a lot of sex acts and, you know,
Inserted things.
Yeah, inserted things.
Right.
A lollipop. Like it was. It's a lot of people out there are desperate. You know, every corner, every bar.
Yeah, you.
I was outside chatting to this Swiss bloke about his Swiss team. Blood, you know, when I'm drunk, I'll talk to anyone, and they're like, "You going in that room?" I'm like, fuck, I ain't paying for it. No, we paid for it. Oh God, right. So I ended up in a room, and she's done a sex act on me. And about a couple of minutes in, I just told her to stop.
Please get off.
Please.
Stop it.
Please. Yeah. Oh my God.
She's done a sex act on me.
She's violated me in the little room.
I'm dribbling.
So was he.
She's done a...
Oh, mate, I weren't dribbling. So,
pull my pants up now.
I've never heard it described as she done a sex act on me. She done sex with me.
Yeah, that went down like a bit of a cup of cold sick. Carried on. I was slaughtered. You know, we were playing these games like we were pegging each other, and if you got the peg on peg, so we got a peg. What do you think I fucking said?
That means something very, very different to what I know what pegging is, mate.
Right, well, what I mean
so
is...
you and your mate, let's just get this straight. You and your mates were pegging each other in Benidorm, yeah? Go on.
Define peg. We had a peg.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
We had a peg. Will you shut the fuck up? We had a peg, and what we done is we stuck the peg onto a piece of clothing, and if you didn't get it off within...
Mate, I'm clipping
and
that.
if you didn't have it up with 5 seconds... You had to fucking down your drink. That's what the peg was. Right,
okay, yeah. Earlier on, yesterday, earlier on this week, I had an interview with Alan Rzepa, you know, the famous tweets that went between me and him, and we sort of hammered it out. Plug there for the podcast. So this how that went, so, yeah.
What I think it's best to start with your interpretation of it, and then for Alan to respond and sort of go over into what his intentions were, what he meant. So obviously when you saw that, Nick, that initial tweet, we've obviously listed quite a few of the sort of crazy things that have happened at West Ham, right? Including the cat thing, the incident with, what was his name? The African players situation, all the sort of crazy stuff. And with that still from the Astra Gugu, right? So when you first saw that, what was your interpretation? How did it make you feel? How did that set you off? And how did that proceed? How you responded?
Well, I was angry because look, I know you're open to interpretation and I respect opinions and all of that sort of stuff, but it's like, I know that Alan's tried to explain it since, and it makes a little bit of sense, but even still, I can't make head nor tail of it, to be quite honest with you. But the way somebody sent it to me, and they just sent me the tweet. There was no context to it, no nothing to it. So when I read it, and the way I interpreted it is that all this crazy negative nonsense that's going on at West Ham, and then our picture attached to it. First of all, I'm in it, but you know that to be honest with you, me being in it was the least of my concerns. The thing I was more concerned about is Dom, because he's, you know, we'll go over this in a second, I'm sure, but you know, whatever you think of Dom and however much you like or dislike Dom and all that, he does take a lot of abuse and a lot of stick. So his picture being attached to that obviously concerned me as well. But then our brand logo was on it. You know, you can't go into posting a picture and, you know, with all this negative stuff, you know, about cat. I mean, some of it's serious. It's racism. It's fucking animal cruelty and all of that sort of stuff. And then posting our picture to it, because the way I took it is, although it didn't specifically mention us, and that's another thing that I took sort of exception to. Again, posting the picture sort of references and links us to that subconsciously. So
in my eyes, it's kind of both how Nikki took it, because in one way I understand the interpretation, but on the other hand, Nikki took it completely wrong in my eyes, because my intentions weren't negative at all. It was just meant to be funny, because you've got, I don't know, Nikki, how much you use Twitter or how connected you are, but you have the type of threads like Fake Carlton had the big thread about West Ham banter era, and there were all the things I have listed were also listed in the thread. So for people who I interact with, mostly you can say the younger audience, everyone took it the way I intended the tweet.
But are you saying, so was it that the interview was part of the banter era, or that the interview is a representation of the result that was banter? Like, so like just that interpretation of, okay, so how's that particular interview or that image connected to banter era?
It's both the result, because obviously we lost to Astra Giorgio again and stuff, but the Sol quote and what Dom said.
Let me interject there, because I understand that you've got a slightly different audience to me, Alan, and I understand that Twitter is used different. I'm an old man at the end of the day. I can't keep up with the kids at times, and but when you're talking about the banter era, I don't see kicking animals or racism as banter at all. I see it as quite a shameful, disgusting part of the club, to be quite honest with you. And I find quite a few bits and pieces like that. I don't see banter in that. I don't see it as. I think it's disgusting. Both kicking animals.
It is, and I agree with you completely.
I don't find that banter. So when you're piling in with me, like, as Fake Colton, I mean, I could say a million things about Fake Colton before we get into that. I could say a million things about what he's done in the past. I find him mildly amusing at times, but I've seen, a dark side of him, posting pictures of children getting waterboarded and pornographic photos with David Gold, which I think are disgusting as well. I don't see that as banter at all. I don't see how you can find it funny. I don't see how you can find it amusing. So when you're piling us and our pictures and all of that sort of, look, you can have your interpretation of the Astra Gugu video however way you want. I still get people up to me this day telling me it was funny, it was brilliant, it was whatever interpretation. And I've got no problem with that whatsoever. But when you're piling it's with what you call banter, and that's racism, animal abuse, I don't see how I can find it funny.
So I want to first get you to talk a bit about, because it was Alan responded to your tweet going, right, you said better have a fucking good reason why you're using my picture. That was what you responded. Then obviously Alan explained it, but you wasn't happy with how he explained it. You wasn't happy with the response, right? So before we get Alan's interpretation of why he responded that, tell me why you didn't like his response.
Don't. I'm not a snowflake by any stretch of the imagination. If I want an explanation, if you'd have just said to me at there and then, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it like that. It's a joke. Look, it's references in this. But the reason I took particular offense to the way you responded is because you didn't come back and say any of that stuff. You come back with a load of legal mumbo jumbo saying it's public. I can use public stuff. You can't stop me from using public stuff. And look, I wasn't there to, I wasn't particularly there. I wasn't happy that you used the image, but if you'd explained to me why it was used, I could have just said, oh, what, fuck it. I have a million, Alan, I suppose you can imagine I have a million of these things a day. You know what I mean? I can't sit there and fight all the battles. But You know, if you'd have explained to me or said, oh, look, you know, chill out a little bit, Nick, I didn't mean it like that, blah, 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 you know, I could have let it slide. But when you come back to me with the legal ramifications of why you can use it, not why you know, and that's what I said to you in the following tweet. Look, just because you can, it doesn't mean you should. You know, morally, is it right? Against it legally, is it right? Legally, yeah, you can use it. That's fine. It's a public platform. It's a public video. Legally, you can use it, but does that mean you should use it? And I would say no.
So you talk about your Alan like response to that in terms of, you know, why you responded in the way that you did, and your thought process thereafter. Obviously, when he quote tweeted you and going, "You better have a fucking good read." You know what? What was your interpretation of what he said, and then why you responded the way you did?
I kind of misread the response then. So yeah, in my head, it was Nicky's way to like get onto me again. Because when I used to tweet all the Hollis stuff and such, Nicky sometimes would reply negatively.
Which
so I thought it was again the same type of comment. And
Alan, I can promise you now, mate. I can promise you from the bottom of my heart now, none of that stuff was personal.
He responded with, "Oh, I followed this in real time. I was following this, and I see Nicky respond with, okay." And then when I'm seeing that, I'm thinking something's wrong here. Something's off. The way you just said, okay, this isn't okay. There's something there. And then I see the next tweet where he tweets your profile picture and said something along the lines of, "I fucking hate people who masturbate to animal porn." Now I was just like, what the fuck? How is this escalated there? Where and I see now, obviously, and so Nicky's tried to make a point. All right, first I wanted to ask Nicky the thought process of taking it there. Why you did that? And
why animal porn? Like,
yeah, of all the things, and then
anything.
Yeah, exactly. And then I'll get Alan's response to what he thought. But Nicky, why? Like, obviously, when you clicked, okay, why did you go right? I'm gonna take his picture specifically, and then I'm gonna link it with masturbating to animal porn. Like, just your thought process of, I'm doing this. This is what I'm gonna do.
Because it's tit for tat, isn't it? It's you know, it's again, Alan's picture is public, so public forum and all that. I don't know the legal ramifications behind it. I could have been, you know, as I think Alan alluded to a couple of times, you know, I could have been very open to probably a court case or whatever. But sometimes, you know, Dan knows me. You know, he knows me, and I can lose my temper at times, you know, and I can be very reactive. And I mean this from the bottom of my heart.
Yeah.
Impulsive, yeah, that's the word. And I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I didn't mean any proper maliciousness from it. I obviously didn't know how much it was going to blow up, but we have this, you know, over and over and over again. And like, I know, and I want to address something what Alan said a bit later on about, you know, me having my fun and all that sort of thing. I don't see it as fun, because sometimes you just have to, you know, in my position, we get this loads. You know, this is not the first incident. It won't be the last incident with trolls. You know, we've got people coming into our live stream saying things about us that obviously aren't true. They've been accused of doing heinous, horrendous things, both in terms of being a paedophile, things like that. I've been accused of that before, you know, by a load of kids that think it's satire, to wind up the geezer that's on the YouTube. Obviously, Dom's got a lot of abuse and all that. So I was just trying to teach someone a lesson. You know, should I have tweeted it? Probably not. Could I legally have tweeted it? I don't know, but I did, and it's there. You know, and it blew up. And you know, I'm sort of teaching you a lesson a little bit, and I mean that with the greatest respect. Look, I'm no teacher. I'm no fucking mastermind. I'm no nothing like that. But you know, I just thought, well, what's good for the goose? It's good for the gander.
I think it's unfair to put Alan in that category, though, as some of the people.
No, it is unfair. No, it is unfair, Dan. But sometimes when you get this sort of thing over and over and over again, it's hard to differentiate between who should I and who should I not? You know, you get it over and over. I don't see, oh, it's Alan, he's a journalist or whatever. What I see is someone's attacking me again. So, he's done it in a way where I can retort, and I retorted.
Because respect to him, he's put his faith back there. Like what others don't. That's what I'm saying. Like,
absolutely.
You couldn't do that to the trolls we usually get because they're just anonymous.
They're just anonymous.
Whatever he said, he's willing to put his name and face to.
But I put my face to everything too, and he's used my face. And because this face was there, I thought, well, what's good for the goose, good for the gander. Why did I choose animal porn?
That's happened to be what you was watching at the time.
That happened to be what I was watching at the time. Yeah, I was watching No, it was. I was looking for something that was shocking, but not too shocking. You know what I mean? I could have went with a paedophile, for instance. Like I didn't want to, put that brand on anyone or tar someone with that brush, because I think that would have been over the line. So I just thought, what's shocking? I picked animal porn out of the air.
Alan, just thought, we're first on Match of the Day. Miracles do happen, eh? So minding his own business. Tweet that out. Quote tweet, Nicky Hawkins. I thought you fucked off to support Ajax. Just that was the first time that there was any interactions. And it was back, and then there was some just some playful back and forth, between you both of you. But that was like the initial. This all stems from Sebastian Haller, doesn't it? Right? And I mean, look, just again, I know obviously Nicky's talked quite a bit, but I kind of need to get Nicky's perspective of you so you can then defend yourself, and then you're able to give your perspective of how he interacted with you. So, I know you said, Nick, obviously you didn't mean anything malicious when you was having that back and forth, but what was it about Alan particularly that sort of riled you up to the point in a way you're going, right, I need to tweet him and, his opinions? Like, what is it about that Alan that you sort of disagreed with, or it sort of annoyed you or wound you up or something?
Sometimes I just think his opinions are ridiculous, but it's his opinion,
Fair enough.
Simple as that. I think sometimes Alan plays up a little bit, and as he was saying earlier, he was playing up a little bit, with the response to the legal ramifications. And this is what I alluded to last week when I spoke about it on a podcast. I think he liked it a little bit until a certain point. Because it brings to light his name, and unfortunately that's the way some people in the Twitter sphere and the media work, is that they like, any attention is good attention, and even when it started blowing up, I think Alan was thinking, oh yeah, this could do me a favour. Obviously, it went a bit too far.
Not at all.
Not at all. Okay, well that was just my fault. That was just my fault.
Yeah, at this rate, I don't like my name being mentioned in
animal porn.
Yeah, in conjunction
especially animal porn. But I don't like when my name's blowing up because I know what's going to happen eventually.
Yeah, there's a certain section of the West Ham fan base that aren't your biggest fans, and it's
maybe you should have a look at why that is then, and I'm not saying I'm the most loved person, because I'm sure there's people out there who fucking despise me, and that's that's their right, absolute right to. I'm an outspoken person, and my opinions differ to your opinions, and I'm an outspoken person, but there was one thing I do respect, his opinion. But maybe you should have a look, if you don't like it doing that, maybe you should have a look at the reasons why it's doing that. People can talk about me all they want, all that they want, as long as they're not personal, towards me. I don't really give a shit. If they're dismissing my opinion, that's fine. But maybe it's something you should have a look at.
I kind of know why, because this is the even younger type of audience than me. Like you said, the guys that would tweet the most horrendous stuff and think it's funny.
Yeah. Exactly.
And from my interactions with them, it's like the idea behind them targeting me with hate and such is because I'm a foreigner who has a say on the club, and that's pretty much it.
No, I'm not. I don't know about.
I don't know if it's the real reason or not, but that's what I was told by these people specifically.
And
And
what
they
about
should go fuck off and support Legia Warsaw.
Yeah, but again, that's just if you want a bit of advice from myself, and I learnt this the hard way. Just don't interact with them.
Yeah, I've blocked all of them. And
Every
whenever I
time.
see, whenever I see any of them making new accounts, because I know,
Yeah, they are.
exactly, I know who they are, and I just block them instantly. I know their type of accounts, and yeah,
Yeah, they
and
got
I
a lot
have,
of time on their hands for sure. That's for
yeah.
sure. What do you think about Nikki's sort of assessment of you sort of having like crazy opinions? Obviously, you did say you're entitled, but like sort of crazy opinions, or sometimes you play up to it, or something like that. Like, what's your assessment of Nikki's thoughts of your sort of opinions and things,
Well,
and how you carry out?
sometimes it's just hyperbole, and I like to,
Stir the pot. Those things the word.
kinda, yeah. I don't do it anymore because I find it boring now. But yeah, I used to do so. And on the other hand, it's like we're not going to have the same opinions on players. And let's say on Robert Snodgrass, he's a lovely man. He is a lovely, lovely man. Done such a wonderful things to Isla and to charities and to the club overall. But the opinion on him as a player is going to just the background, because you, Nikki, obviously was raised up on a different type of football than I was. So I was growing up watching prime Barcelona with Ronaldinho and such. So obviously I'm going to like more players who are technical and such, and you're going to like more players who are hardworking and etc. Because these are the differences. And watching Barcelona and watching West Ham when you was younger.
Well, see, that's the difference between us, Alan. Is that when I grew up, I watched all sorts of football, but my love was West Ham, and I know the type of player that works for West Ham that I like to see at West Ham. And I'm no dinosaur. I didn't grow up in the '60s where they kicked the shit out of each other. I like technical players. My favourite player is Paolo Di Canio. I don't think you'll ever find a player that's played for the club more technical than him. I love Dimitri Payet. I love Yossi Benayoun when he was here. I love technical football. I love people that are wonderful footballers to watch. Paolo Di Canio, I would 100% pay the entrance fee alone. Dimitri Payet, I probably would have, but I know we don't see them that often at West Ham. So I know that someone who is honest and hardworking, as Robert Snodgrass was, and believe me, there's videos of me slagging off Robert Snodgrass when he first came. Dan, I know, Dan's been with me every step of the way, but I know what works for us, and you have to be honest and try your best, and that's all you can ask. That's why people like Lewis Beaumont, although technically was awful, he's got a good legacy at the club.
I'm sure we could talk about this situation for hours and hours, and we definitely have to, I think, get Alan back on one time just to talk about the football, because I think it's good as well to get people on with such different opinions, or you end up in an echo chamber and they're boring. It's always good to have debate and have difference of opinion. But before we end things, Alan, like anything you just want to say, to end things or clear up any misconceptions you feel people have about you, or just your feeling now about the whole situation, anything you just want to say?
First of all, due to the misconception of me that I'm not a West Ham fan, yes, I am a West Ham fan. So I think you can believe me on my word as you want. If you don't, then fine. I am a West Ham fan, and I've been a West Ham fan for the past 12 years. So that should be clarified. And I just wanted to say, Nikki, my bad. I apologize for what for the tweet, especially.
I apologize. I'm not going to apologize for the tweet, because that would be misgenerous for me. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete it. Look, there you go.
There we go. Well,
deleted the tweet. All right.
So there we go.
The only reason I'm not going to apologise, and I mean this with the greatest respect, is because I thought it was justified at the time, and I think a little bit, Alan. You agree with me? So
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. So there you go. I've deleted it. I'm one of these people. I might be a bastard, and I might be misconceived as someone that's a bit controversial and what's the word, Dan? Confrontational, and all that sort of thing. But I am somebody that can draw a line in the sand and forget everything that's gone on, water under the bridge, and all that sort of thing. I'm not a I might not be the nicest of people at times, but I am a fair person, and I do respect opinions, and I don't just say it and then I'm not going to say I'm going to beat you up over an opinion or whatever, but I do respect opinions. But I do also say when I think opinions nonsense, or when something happens like that. But I am a fair person, and I'll draw a line under that, mate, and we can go on, and I'm sure there'll be no issues. And if you come to London Stadium at one time, I'll grab a beer with you.
I'll try, and if I do, I'll definitely keep in touch.
Yeah, definitely do.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, hopefully we get to have you on again, and like I said, now, I think we learned a lot from that, and I don't think people should be worrying. I don't think you should worry about walking on eggshells around each other. Look, where we can all have a laugh, we can all have fun on Twitter. If fingers cross the line, now we know how to deal with it. It's just better just to be like, look, boom, this is how I feel about that. Okay, mate, delete that. Sorry, overstepped the line. You can do that, like, without worrying about defending each other, and we can all, do you know what I mean, play on that. I'm always, needling Nicky over Allaire or other things, on Twitter, or there's things he'll post, and it's that, and I'm sure if I ever, went too far, he'd just tell me, and then we'll go, all right, fair enough.
Or punch you, one of the two. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, or one of the two. Yeah, so, but no, thank you so much, Alan, for giving us your time and coming on, and
no worries, really, thank you.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it was really interesting, really good to get down. Like I said, we'll have you on again just talking about the football. So, I guess that's back to the studio.
There you go. What do you think of that?
He's made you look all right, mug.
That was a good conversation in the end. It was decent. It was a decent conversation, and hopefully he's learned his lesson. That's all I would say. I've got two stories, right? I've got one. I ended up soaked in toilet water.
Lovely.
Yeah.
How'd you do that then?
So I've gone into the toilet. I was out of it. But what happened was, right, so I've gone into the cubicle, staggered into the cubicle. I've dropped my trousers and pants, right? And as I'm about to sit down, I noticed, like,
oh, for fuck's sake,
that the whole thing was overflowed, right?
Oh, no.
The whole thing was at the top of the thing, right? But by the time
if you'd have sat down, your balls would have dipped in it. Nah, don't tell me that.
No. Well, right.
Lucky you didn't come out.
But it wasn't
Dunkin' chicken balls.
The only good thing I can say about it, it didn't look like it'd been pissed or shitting, right? It was clean water, so it looks like someone's been trying to flush it.
Looked like putting 2 nuggets in the fryer or something.
Yeah, right. So as I've noticed it, I'm pissed, and I'm just about to sort of get back up and think, oh fucking hell, I better not go, and I fell backwards. And I sat on the water, and my fat ass has created like a vacuum, right?
You sucked it up with your ass.
I fell straight back onto it, right? Covered the whole hole with my ass, yeah. And then, like,
you know what you should have done? You should have farted and had a jacuzzi.
So obviously, as I sat down, it was full to the brim.
Did you unblock it?
No,
like a toilet plunger?
I think so. Yeah, I think I did. Right? But as I got up, it created like a vacuum. I've got up quick because I'm panicked.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
And as I got up, the whole fucking contents of that fucking toilet water come up with me, and it just started pouring into my fucking trousers.
Oh no!
Right?
What was in it?
It was just from what I can see, it was just
pieces of shit.
No, there wasn't nothing like that. Luckily, I was so lucky, because if it had been full up with shit, I'd have been fucked.
Oh mate!
But it filled my whole trousers up. The whole of my trousers were now filled up with water like a balloon. Yeah. Where it just come up with me, right? And all this stuff is just fucking. I'm staggering around, yeah, trying to get me kecks up because
I would have cried, mate. I'd have curled up in the corner and cried until the bouncers come and took
I'm trying
me
to get me kecks up, and it's so I've had to pour water out of my fucking trousers, right?
Fuck.
So I've got them up. Now this, water stinks, doesn't it? Like after a while, it fucking stinks, right? But all of this water is now on the floor, just flowing out of the cubicle, and all I could hear was people going, "You right in there, mate? You right?" And I was going, "Yeah."
I must have thought you melted or something. Like a snowman.
I was like, but I come out, but I was trying to start. I was going, "Yeah, I'm all right. Yeah, like, I'm soaking wet.
Was it dripping?
My shoes were filled up.
Yeah, I'm all right.
Yeah, I'm all right. Yeah, what of it?"